Now,
Bills, Patriots tonight on Monday Night Football. They should put a disclaimer up that the following might be disturbing for some viewers because the Bills are just going to beat them down.
how about that?
20 years of beatings laid on the Buffalo Bills by the New England Patriots tonight. Oh, you thought Canada ran it up on Germany. Just wait. That's tonight, Monday Night Football.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
It is. Welcome, Canada and Canadian sports fans around the world. It's the RPShow, and we are on the air, episode number 385 of Canada's daytime sports talk show. Leaving the harbor now. That was an easy prediction to make last night, by the way, on Monday Night Football, which is coming up on our Quick Six show topics. It was easy.
Yeah. Buffalo, and as I put out this morning, they are the number one team in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got all facets of the game figured out. They flexed their muscles last night, and they could have put 50 up.
I was hoping for a 50 burger, and I will get to that. We have some new viewers checking in today from across the land, the Great White North. Kenny Wild Rysek says watching from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Kyle Outridge says live from Cambridge, Ontario. It looks to me like producer Clark has put up the what he hasn't for some time. Where are you watching from this morning? And people are answering the bell. And let's go. Coming up on the program today, we're going to dabble into the football talk here in the Quick Six, so just hang on. Did they just zoom in on me? Or was that my eyes?
I think that was your eyes.
Okay, that's very possible. That's very possible it was just me. But it's mostly a hockey show. We've got the Silver Fox, very popular in Calgary. The Silver Fox, Kelly Rempel. Right, Remps?
Of course, I didn't know that.
He didn't know it till today. And that's not why I'm wearing the Moose Jaw Warriors pullover today that Remps is coming in, but it's a nice fit. Also, Joey Kenward, longtime broadcaster in the Western Hockey League. I believe he's with Canucks TV now, right, Clark, isn't he? The great Joe Kenward, yep. And Sportsnet 650. Thank you, Clark. Clark's right on the bit today. And then when we go to national television in hour 2 on Game Plus TV, in all 10 provinces and 31 states, the Silver Fox Kelly Rempel will be staying with us and will be joined by New York Islanders great Jordan Eberle. Jordan Eberle. So that's going to be great. And by the way, speaking of New York Islanders greats, did you see the text into the show last week from Clark Gillies?
Yeah.
Clark Gillies was watching the show. They say the toughest Sasky NHLer ever, Clark Gillies, would pulverize any of these guys into the ground. Tiger Williams, apparently Clark Gillies has. Clark's telling me in my ear that Clark Gillies will be on the air with us next week. But anyways, he was watching on Long Island last week live, and he said, guys, I'm watching your show, and you need a Clark Gillies bobblehead for your desk. So he's shipping one from New York.
That's awesome.
And then he's going to be on the show, so that's exciting. But it's Ebbs today for a lot of World Junior talks. There's a lot of hockey, but we're going to start with football as we roll in the Quick Six show topics. Let her fly, Jordan. Thank you. Well, as you all know, these Quick Six show topics are as of importance to me. Maybe they're not the top 6 in the world, but they're my top 6 of importance. And number 1 is Chris Streveler going to start for the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday? And if so, will the Cards win? They're facing a situation, Dupes, as you probably know, win and they're in the playoffs for the first time since 2015, the Arizona Cardinals. I'm so giddy about this. Yes, I'm pulling for Chris Streveler. I think we all are as CFL people. Even the Rider fans got to put their ill will aside and pull for this kid. It's our poll question today for Capital Auto Mall, Universal Collision Center, and that is, will the Cardinals win with Chris Streveler getting the start on Sunday? We just tweeted it about 10, 15 minutes ago, so we don't have much of a body of work there. What are they, Darren?
50-50.
50-50. Wow, sounds like my life. 50-50.
I know.
I think they got a chance, but here's the thing. He's never thrown an NFL pass, nor has the quarterback for the Rams because Jared Goff's been ruled he's not going to play. Walford is the kid that's going to start for the Rams. I'm just going to say yes. I've texted a former coach of Strevy's in the CFL waiting to hear back on what his thoughts are on Streveler starting. To me, that's the story of the week.
Yeah.
How about you?
It's unbelievable. If you've got both backups who've never thrown a pass, this literally might be a game of rugby where they only throw the ball backwards and check downs and screens and runs. I kind of look at it thinking they're going to protect him. He's not going to be asked to do a whole lot. He's not going to be asked to throw for 300 yards. Like, if he throws for 150 yards in the football game, it would be a good day for Chris Streveler. But he's a competitor. He gets it done with his legs. He improvises on the field to find ways to make things happen. I think it'll be fun if he starts in the football game. I think it'll be a lot of fun, but expect a lot of runs, expect a lot of short dump-offs, ball control. But they do need to win. So if they have to let him loose, they've got to let him loose.
Jeff in Winnipeg's watching. Oh, it just went off the screen. Oh, he says, if Aaron Donald has any say, nope. But I hope Strev gets it done. We're very big in Winnipeg, especially today, as we can see from the viewers. I know you all in Winnipeg think that Streveler can get it done. I'm asking the rest of the football world, can Chris Streveler get it done? And yes, I'm pulling for him. He just seems like a tremendous guy, but come on. He is not your prototypical 6'4", stand in the pocket, rocket arm guy. He's just not. I understand neither's Kyler Murray, neither's Russell Wilson. I get that. But he's just always seemed to me like a linebacker playing football. And Rams, you've got some thoughts on this, don't you?
Of course.
Of course, he says. I can't wait to get him in here. So that's it. John Ohm is watching Winnipeg. Chris Streveler is a horse. He will run through everyone, right, Dupes? I mean, Moose. Robert Jarrett watching. He says, I'd love to see Streveler run right through a linebacker. Yeah, but he's only going to do it once. That's the thing. We're talking about winning a game, not powering your way, because the Rams are going to figure that out pretty fast.
Yeah,
right?
His mobility should keep, the pressure from Aaron Donald, or, from the edge to rushers from L.A., at least in check, right? Because you have to be wary of him getting outside the pocket. But they're going to catch on to that pretty quickly. And so he's going to have more than one tool in the toolbox if they're going to win the football game.
Well, I mean, we had Charleston Hughes in here in the bunker, the CFL sack king, and he said Streveler can throw. Everybody knows Streveler can't throw. But he threw a touchdown pass to Andrew Harris in the Grey Cup. He beat the Riders in the Banjo Bowl when he got that started. That's not even the National Football League. But you know what? He's got better talent around him. Who knows what they're going to draw up for him on Sunday? This is the story of the week for me. And by the way, on Twitter, Capital Automall Universal Collision Center vote, 59% of you saying no, they won't win with Strevy at quarterback. But I said to Clark, should we tag him? At C Strevy and Twitter. And Clark says, he's in the NFL now. He's a big boy. He can take it.
Yeah. And it's close because we look up here and he wasn't an elite passer in the Canadian Football League, but yet he gets the opportunity. We all think that the elite passers will translate down there, and it's not. It's body size, it's arm strength, it's different things. It's a different game. One less defender on the field. Everything's a little tighter. Reading defenses. It's all a different game, and it might be a better fit.
And maybe it plays more into his skill set.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So maybe the Taysom Hill comparisons will be even more so coming out of this game. So I just feel like it's a big story. But we're going to move on. Point 2, at the World Jays last night, Germany won. As you know, they beat Slovakia 4-3 in overtime. It took my mind 0.75 seconds to go to, wait, Germany beat Slovakia in overtime. Canada just barely got by Slovakia. We're all thinking that, right? Mm-hmm. You also realize that none of that matters.
None of it matters.
You can't think that way, but that's the way you initially think.
Right.
Right, all the time. I'm sure all of Canada's thinking the same thing.
You can't use it as a barometer because you play so much differently. And Germany was so shorthanded against Canada. They're playing the back end of back-to-back games in 2 days. And you play different. You collapse. You play a prevent defense against against Canada, right? You play that prevent defense where you're not going to get a lot of shots. But when you play Slovakia, you're not as worried about their firepower. So it's like, let's loosen up here. We're going to have a forecheck. We're going to skate a little bit. We're going to try and put the pressure on. And look at the Germans now.
Well, they were still undermanned, but they won. So good for Germany. beating Slovakia 4-3 in overtime. It's tightened things up there in Group A. And over in Group B, Sweden beat Austria 4-0. Their win streak continues. What's it at now? 54, I think. And those were the only two games of the day. Moving on here in the warm-up for the Four Seasons Sports Palace. Come in and warm up at the Four Seasons. You're home for the NFL. Week point 3, the Bills beat down on Monday Night Football. Yeah, I called it yesterday, but that was not exactly going out on a limb. Look at the two teams. Look at where they're going. Felt really bad for Cam Newton, though, because as I said, he's a good quarterback, clearly is a good guy, and just couldn't get it done. New England's not good. And did you see, you've seen over and over and over the highlights of Bill Belichick rifling the phone against the bench?
Yeah, and all of the memes and all of the GIFs and the quote, caption this, right? It's like when you're on hold and they say you're the next caller up and your estimated wait time is 3.5 hours, rifle the phone.
Or when Tom Brady hangs up on you.
That too.
Saw that one.
So there's endless jokes to be made, but he's calling up there and it's like, you told me to challenge that? Like, I just saw it. What are you guys doing? But it's got to be frustrating for Bill not to have Tom.
That's too bad.
So sad.
Bills spanked the Patriots on Monday Night Football 38-9. And by the way, that concluded 4 consecutive nights of football in the NFL. Man, are they taking over. They were playing Christmas Day, Boxing Day, Sunday, and Monday. Just taking over. Point 4, it was breaking news last night, but there is more news today. But last night, the Edmonton Oilers have re-signed defenseman Ethan Bear, the product of Ochapowace, Saskatchewan, former Seattle Thunderbird. It's a 2-year deal with an average annual value of $2 million. He played every game for the Oilers last year. He was simply outstanding. And he's got a new deal. But who didn't think he was going back to the Oilers?
Right.
So it's kind of not news, but it's big news for Ethan Bear. The biggest news, this is breaking this morning, that Jonathan Toews, the captain of the Chicago Blackhawks, will miss the start of the season, all of training camp, and apparently the start of the season because of an illness. Nobody knows what that illness is. My guess, the person that will report it will be Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman. Seems to be the first to these things. Overall, I'd like to say it doesn't matter, but when you're a public person and the captain of the Chicago Blackhawks, I don't think you could expect that to be kept under wraps.
Yeah, probably not. And it is big news, and it's unfortunate. So hoping for the best for Jonathan Toews, who's been a great ambassador for the game.
Point 5, back to the National Football League. Will the Eagles fire head coach Doug Pedersen? Now, I didn't watch Sunday's Eagles-Cowboys game because it wasn't on Peasant Vision, i.e. cable television, and I didn't want to illegally stream anything, so I didn't watch the game. But the Eagles are in a position where they hold Washington's fate in a way. If the Eagles win on Saturday, the Washington football team will not clinch the NFC East. Did you hear Doug Pedersen on Philadelphia radio yesterday? His weekly thing, he's like, you can hear it in his voice. I read the quotes, but he's like, we won a Super Bowl since I've been here. We've been in the playoffs 3 or 5 years since I've been here. We won a conference championship twice. Now I don't expect to get fired, but no coaches expect to get fired. And I don't expect him to get fired either. But it's not because they won a Super Bowl just 2 years ago.
Right. And it almost sounds like if he really didn't expect to be fired, then he would be confident if he just said it. It sounds like he's kind of putting it on the table, like laying out his resume, and kind of pleading to the ownership group. But, he has done a lot for that organization. But, man, in football, our memories are short. What have you done for me lately? If you're not winning now, doesn't matter what you did in the past. And, that's unfortunate. I know, building culture and longevity and consistency is important. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in Philly. But we know that fan base. They have a very short fuse. Not a lot of patience.
Can you put up the comment from Zach Nelson, guys, if you don't mind, and while you search for it? 18 months is what coaches here in the sweatpants capital got after winning a championship. John Gregory and Corey Chamberlain, almost to the day, 18 months after winning a Grey Cup, apple and a roadmap. Zach Nelson in Calgary watching, he says, the Monday Night Football crew this year has been the best Monday Night Football crew since 2015. I wouldn't necessarily agree. I wouldn't. But one thing about broadcasters, as we know, People are subjective when it comes to that. Here's what I would do. Steve Levy's fine. I don't think he's great. Louis Riddick's really growing on me. And Brian Gracie is fighting for room to talk in that booth. I would put Booger McFarland back in there. I'm a really big fan of Booger McFarland. They're telling me to speed up here.
Well, and that's true. Booger's good.
And last point, and then just a couple of bonus ones. The Argos releasing Jeff Knox Jr. yesterday, linebacker. That's a tough one. I spoke at length with Jeff, and I spoke at length with the Argos. It had a lot to do with money and a little to do with the double attempted homicide charges he's facing in Pittsburgh. Jeff's disappointed that he was initially told that the team would stand behind him, and then they released him. That's the harsh reality of pro football, sorry to say. From the Argos standpoint, they said we waited until the longest we possibly could, made sure he got all his payment, but we need to move on. His trial has been postponed a couple of times. He'll now stand trial in Pittsburgh on February the 18th. So, as I said to Jeff, football is not the most important thing in your life right now, Jeff. And he agrees. He understands that. But he's still young. And I still think he'll be back. I understand both sides. From the Argos, that we need to move on. Those spots on those rosters are cherished. They're highly coveted, right? And as I was told, Jeff was making a pretty good wage in CFL circles. He might have been cut anyways, regardless of the charges, for a younger, cheaper.
Just because of money. I agree.
Yeah.
And
we got to speed up. Sorry.
From a PR perspective, you got to do it too. And let him take care of the personal stuff. And if it's all taken care of, you can bring him back later.
Gotcha. Yesterday's rock star of the day, Tori Gurley. Do you have the picture of Iceville, Clark? Why not? We'll talk about this later. We'll be back. Kelly Rempel coming in the studio next. And from Vancouver, Joey Kenward from Sportsnet 650. It's the RP Show on Game Plus TV, Facebook Live, and listen live at rodpedersen.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen on demand. For more of the Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.